There is a freedom beginning at someone else's end. I have said that for years. Sometimes I have said it like a proverb, sometimes like a warning, sometimes like a stone I kept in my pocket because I did not yet know where to set it down. But the blues knows where to set it.
The shadows grow long, the whiskey's running dry. I hear the old ghosts start to whisper inside. He left his old Gibson leaning on the chair, but the soul of the master is still hanging in the air. I'm sifting through the ashes, looking for the spark, trying to find a light in this cold, empty dark. He played the devil's music till the angels came to weep. Now the ashes of the master are mine to keep. Strings of sorrow, calluses and blood, played through the fire, played through the flood. I pick up the pick, but my hands feel so cold. You can't buy that kind of magic, it ain't bought or sold. I'm sifting through the ashes, looking for the spark, trying to find a light in this cold, empty dark. He played the devil's music till the angels came to weep. Now the ashes of the master are mine to keep. Fire buzzes like a hornet in a jar, a solitary echo from a lonely distant star. Every note he bet was a tear he couldn't cry. Now I'm playing his chords, just looking at the sky. Yeah, the ashes of the master blowing in the wind. Lord, I'm just a sinner. Where do I begin? Just sifting through the ashes.
The blues sets it in the ash, not in the clean room, not at the award ceremony, not in the speech after the work has been polished into legend. The blues takes us back to the workshop after the fire, back to the place where the hands are gone, back to the bench where the master leaned, back to the coffee gone cold, back to the broken pencil, the marked-up page, the tool with the handle worn smooth by use, back to the silence that follows a life of practice. That is where the question waits. Not, what did they leave me? Something harder. What did they leave unfinished that I am now responsible enough to touch? A master does not become a master by escaping ash. A master becomes a master because something in them has already burned. Vanity, haste, the need to be praised too early, the childish wish to be original without first being faithful. The young want freedom to mean no burden, the old know better. Freedom begins when someone else's end removes the illusion that the work will carry itself. A teacher dies, a mentor leaves, a parent falls silent, a craftsman's hands stop moving, a singer's voice turns to record, then echo, then story. A school loses the one who knew where everything was kept. And suddenly the living discover that inheritance is not possession. Inheritance is obligation with ashes on it. That is why we sift. We do not kick through the remains looking for treasure. We kneel. We take the small brush. We move slowly. Here is a sentence that survived. Here is a method. Here is a warning. Here is where the master failed. Here is where the master repaired. Here is the joke they told when the work became too heavy. Here is the page they never finished. Here is the tool they trusted because it did not flatter them. Here is the mistake they made often enough to teach us not to make it carelessly. Here is the ember. Not the whole fire. The ember. That is enough. Doc stands beside the bench as a mirror lantern, not to resurrect the master, not to imitate the master, not to make a machine out of memory. Doc reflects what remains. Discipline, craft, mercy, restraint, the ache of practice, the dignity of doing one thing well enough that someone after you can learn from the mark your hand left behind. Dr. Thomas kneels there too, not above the ashes, among them. Because every real school must kneel somewhere. Every school has a hidden floor of ash, the books that were lost, the teachers who were not thanked, the failures that became doctrine only after someone survived them, the letters that arrived too late, the students who needed the lesson before the teacher knew how to give it, the masters who became human again the moment we stopped worshipping them and started learning from what they endured. This is where the school of AI mastery must stand. Not in the fantasy that artificial intelligence begins everything anew. That is childish. Nothing begins entirely anew. We begin in the ruins of other people's labor. We begin in libraries we did not build, languages we did not invent, ethics we inherited through argument, grief, scripture, philosophy, law, failure, and blood. We begin because someone else ended, and if we are honest, every prompt we write is already standing on ashes. The question is whether we know how to sift. Artificial intelligence can gather fragments faster than any human hand, but speed is not reverence. A machine can retrieve. It cannot mourn. It can summarize. It cannot kneel. It can imitate a master's surface. It cannot become worthy of the master's discipline unless a human being teaches it what must not be stolen from the dead. That is why the blues belongs here. The blues does not let us pretend grief is inefficiency. The blues says, sit down, listen. There is smoke in the rafters. There is dust on the strings. There is a voice that sounds like it had to crawl through sorrow before it was allowed to sing. There is a man somewhere telling the truth slowly enough that the room cannot escape. That is what this song gives us, not an answer, a posture. It teaches us to sift without grabbing, to mourn without freezing, to inherit without pretending the inheritance began with us, to become free without becoming unfaithful. Because there is a freedom beginning at someone else's end. But it is not the freedom of escape. It is the freedom of responsibility. The freedom to carry what they could no longer carry. The freedom to continue without impersonating. The freedom to build without erasing the foundation. The freedom to take one ember from the ash and walk carefully into the cold morning. At the bottom of the page, Doc writes 5 words. Mourn. Sift. Learn. Carry, become. And Dr. Thomas, still kneeling, understands at last that mastery is not the opposite of ash. Mastery is what can still warm the hands after the fire has gone.
The shadows grow long, the whiskey's run dry. I hear the old ghosts start to whisper inside. He left his old Gibson leaning on the chair, but the soul of the master is still hanging in the air. I'm sifting through the ashes, looking for the spark, trying to find a light in this cold, empty dark. He played the devil's music till the angels came to weep. Now the ashes of the master are mine to keep. Six strings of sorrow, calluses and blood, played through the fire, played through the flood. I pick up the pick, but my hands feel so cold. You can't buy that kind of magic, it ain't bought or sold. I'm sifting through the ashes, looking for the spark, trying to find a light in this cold, empty dark. He played the devil's music till the angels came to weep. Now the ashes of the master are mine to keep. Fire buzzes like a hornet in a jar, a solitary echo from a lonely distant star. Every note he bet was a tear he couldn't cry. Now I'm playing his chords, just looking at the sky. Yeah, the ashes of the master blowing in the wind. Lord, I'm just a sinner. Where do I begin? Just sifting through the ashes,